This lesson introduces you to a new set of adjectives called the demonstratives. As the name implies, they're going to point out things. In English, this is the this and that, and the plurals, these and those. So if I want to say, those men are bad, those is a demonstrative. Now, as adjectives, they're going to decline. We're going to have a number of different forms. We're going to have to use all cases, all numbers, and all genders. So as we did with other adjectives, we're going to give the masculine, the feminine, and the neuter in this order, and the cases, as you've come to know them, nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, and ablative. Now, a couple of things first. The first one we'll run into is hic, haec, hoc, this. Now, at first glance, this may look very, very odd, but I assure you that this is really pretty close to first and second declension adjectives. So, hic, haec, hoc, the genitive is the first thing that you'll notice is strange. Huius. This ius genitive is actually not all that uncommon in Latin. And you'll notice that it's the same for the masculine, the feminine, and neuter. So hic, haec, hoc, this man, this woman, this thing, huius, huius, huius. And now the genitive you'll also notice is very strange, huic. And actually the ending here is I with an added C, which comes from the archaic ke, meaning, and this pointed is a pointing word. It's called a deictic. It's shortened to huic, and it's again the same for the masculine, the feminine, and the neuter. So huic, huic, huic. And then from this point on, it's actually almost a normal first and second declension adjective. You get hunk, so we again keep this deictic C, this pointer. The accusative neuter is going to be the same as the nominative as usual. But otherwise you get what looks an awful lot like hum, but that C shifts that M to an N. So hunk, hank, hook. And then the ablative hook, hack, hook. These look like ablative endings, long O, long A, long O, with that deictic C, that pointer. So hic, haec, hoc, huius, 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 huic, 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 hunk, hank, hook, hoke, hack, hook. The plural is even more regular. In fact, the plural is, other than the neuter nominative plural and accusative plural, this is a first and second declension adjective. So you'll notice the stem is H, and we get he, hi, hike. Okay, this one's not what you'd expect. But otherwise, horum, harum, horum, right? Orum, arum, orum, are genitive plural endings that you're used to. His, his, are dative endings that you're used to. Hos, has, hike, and his, his. So hic, haec, hoc, this is really very close to a first and second declension adjective. The second one we'll look at is ille, illa, illud, that. So if hic was this, ille is that. And it too follows some of the same patterns that you saw in hic, haec, hoc. So you have your nominative ille, illa, illud, or masculine, feminine, and neuter, right? And they are relatively irregular. The feminine looks good there. And then the genitive, ilius, again has that ius genitive ending. Ilius, 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 illi, 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 that dative in I that we saw with huic, if we know that the C has been added. Illum, illam, illud, all right, our neuter is the same as, the accusative is the same as the nominative, but the masculine and feminine, illum, illam, are your regular first and second declension adjective endings. And then illo, illa, illo, regular ablative. And the same goes with the plural. Illi, illi, illa, illorum, illarum, illorum, illis, 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 illos, illas, illos, illis, illis, illis. You've got a stem of ill, and your endings are exactly as you'd expect for a first and second declension adjective. So that is that, as they say. Now the third one that we'll cover in this lesson is ille, id. And this is really a non-emphatic this or that. It's almost when we're just referring to something that's already been said, or pointed out. So this or that woman, this or that man. Or it can be used by itself, and it will be the third person pronoun he, she, he, is, she, ea, it, id. And it too follows a very similar pattern to haec, haec, hoc, and ille, illa, illud, and that is in the genitive, eius, you've got your ius genitive ending. So is, ea, id, eius, 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 so your stem is e, and your ending is ius, and the dative, ei, has that dative I stem ending. Ei, 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 and then the accusative, eom, eam, and id, the same as our nominative. But the masculine and feminine are regular first and second declension endings, and eo, ea, eo. And then in the plural, ei, ei, ea. We've got our e stem with our regular first and second declension endings. Now, sometimes what can happen is if the ending begins in I, or is I, as is the case here, that initial E will assimilate to the I. So ei or ii, ei, ea, eorum, earum, eorum are regular genitive plural endings. Eis or iis, eis, eis, eos, eas, ea. The accusative the same as the nominative, and eis, eis, eis. So if you remember that if the ending begins in I, it can assimilate the stem to I. So that's what happens here. This I picks up the I here, so iis instead of eis. And remember that is, ea, id, other than the genitive singular and the dative singular, these really are very close to being first and second declension adjectives. Now, some parting points, some things to keep in mind. These function like any other adjectives. They match the noun they're modifying in gender, number, and case. So if I want to say, this man is good, hic vir est bonus. Right? So hic, because vir is masculine nominative singular, hic, I must use the masculine nominative singular. But if I say, I saw that girl, vidi puellam hanc. So I've got an accusative feminine singular. I'm going to have to use the accusative feminine singular form of hanc. These can also stand all by themselves as pronouns. That is, they can be used substantively. So if I said something like dixi haec, I said haec, I said these things. Right? So we have to understand that this is neuter, plural, accusative. I said these things. I don't need a word for things, right? Or this man, I could just say hic. Hic est bonus, ille, that man, malus. Right? I can use them all by themselves. And then also, hic, when referring to two things, so let's say Marcus et Titus, right? We talk about Marcus and Titus, and then anytime if I refer to them again, I can say hic. This one, the closer one, would actually refer to Titus since he's closer. But ille, the further one, would refer to Marcus. Okay, so hic, the closer one, ille, the further one. And finally, as I mentioned already, is, ea, id can be used as a simple pronoun. So, vidi, eam, I saw her. Right? Or, he said these things, dixit ea. Or, id, scio, I know it. Neuter, I know it.